Okay, so do you want to know my personal opinion? I feel like autism moms, we are kind of set up, meaning we have kiddos that has significant needs, and I know everybody's different, but often we have significant needs that are urgent. We must act with urgency when it comes to finding therapists and setting up therapy and getting diagnoses. And even if there's long waiting lists, we urgently have to react to meltdowns and put in place different things that we're going to do to help address different behavioral issues. We urgently have to start speech therapy and occupational therapy and physical therapy. And so it sets us up for this life of urgency. Unfortunately, when it comes to self-care, it's all about doing our four intentional needs, but those are not urgent needs. They may feel urgent long term if we don't do anything about it, but they're actually important needs, things that will not break apart in a day or two, but over the long term, we will see significant effects if we do not help ourselves with our four intentional needs. And I feel like that is the reason why so many of us are not consistent with planning how to address them. Do you struggle with living in congruence with how you want to live versus how you actually live? Are you a mother with a child on the autism spectrum that longs to feel more balance in your life? Would you like to take better care of yourself, but don't know how to make it work in your current season of life? Would you like to have more control over your time, thought life, feel healthier, and have more energy? Well, my friend, if you have answered yes to any of these questions, I have great news for you. I created this podcast for you because I remember the beginning of my self-care journey and how I felt. I remember longing to enjoy my motherhood journey and struggled as I was trying to figure out what I could do to feel better and show up as my best self, because for me, all I had ever wanted was to be a stay-at-home mom. Hi, my name is Victoria Mattia, and I am a certified life and health coach, certified international counselor, and former autism therapy clinic director. And most importantly, I am also a mom of two special needs children, one on the autism spectrum. For years, I struggled with these same issues, so I went back to school to study science-backed and research-based principles on how to feel my best. Even in the current season I am in as an autism mom, I realized that my self-care needs didn't have to come first on the list, but I did need to prioritize and put them on the list intentionally. We may not be able to change everything in our current season, but there is a lot that we can do. I worked for years to help my child on the autism spectrum have the best therapies, resources, and advocated tirelessly for him. But what I realized was that as my child's primary caregiver, if I didn't create daily and simple self-care tools for myself, I would burn out, and it would be impossible for me to show up as my best self on a daily basis. This is why, as a mother of a child with autism, I focus on 4 intentional daily needs. These needs are sleep, mindset, nutrition, and movement. Each podcast episode, we will focus on one of these areas, and we will provide real and authentic health solutions. So, grab a cup of tea or your favorite flavor kombucha and pull up a chair and let's have a chat on how these solutions can change your life. Hello everyone. Today we have a special treat for you. This is a much requested episode. But first, if this is the first time listening in, my name is Victoria Mattia and I am the Mom Care Coach. And I am so happy that you decided to come and visit today. Now, if this is an episode that you look forward to every week, thank you so much for being a person that loves to listen and support these episodes and support this podcast because it's really important. Please do not forget to like and to download. They don't automatically download now. So you have to download it, and it shows all of the podcast wizards just how important it is. And so also don't forget to tell your friends about the different episodes that are going through the same thing just like you as an autism mom, because self-care is so very important. Now, today, for our one big idea, I want to talk about planning and how to plan for your 4 intentional needs, which are sleep, mindset, movement, and nutrition. How do you put it in your life? How do you get started? Now, we've talked a little bit about what should be in a planner, what should be in a morning routine, a nighttime routine, daytime, all the things, right? But I'm going to go for a little bit of a story time, and I want to share with you one of the things that was really challenging for me, and this is going to be our one big idea, was helping me understand that I can organize my systems that's going to help with my self-care. The problem is many times we don't know that that's what we're needing. We're needing routines, we're needing systems. And if we're struggling with planning, I got you, because I learned so much. Now, let me tell you what this was like for me years ago. So years ago, here I was, autism mama, okay? 2 babies, both special needs. My youngest has dyslexia and auditory processing disorder and ADHD, and he has not been tested yet, but he also may be somewhere on the spectrum. And then my oldest has a diagnosis of level 3 autism as well as ADHD. And so what I was Googling in the middle of the night was how to become more organized, what I should actually be doing for my morning routine. How do I add a morning routine that I feel comfortable with and that I'm able to do everything that I want to do? How can I be more focused? Maybe I need to manage my time better. I was looking up all of these things, thinking that that was the problem. I had no idea the problem was that I was not focusing on my 4 intentional needs. I was not giving my self-care much attention at all because I was really focusing on everything that was urgent. Now, to give you a picture here, my children are only 2 years apart. My oldest kiddo that has a diagnosis of level 3, he was an eloper. He still is to certain degrees as well, and he's 15 now. But imagine, even just a few years ago, they're 2 years apart, he also would run out of the house nighttime, daytime, whenever we went outside anywhere. He also would elope from there. He had a lot of behavioral challenges. He went to an autism school for a little while, and he was served there, but we also even had services at home. But for years, they didn't make a huge difference, and so he just really, really struggled. Meanwhile, my oldest kiddo really struggled with sleep, which was a huge problem, or challenge, if you will. But often it could turn into a problem, because if you have a child that is really struggling with sleep and it's gone on for year after year after year, that can impact their behavior, because we are, as I always say, human beings, not human doings. So just like even us as adults, if we are struggling with sleep, we're not getting lots of sleep, then it's going to make it difficult for us to function throughout the day, for us to accomplish everything that we're truly trying to accomplish. And so these things really impacted our life in a very integral way. It was a daily difficulty that went on for many, many years. And to be quite honest, it is not something that we have completely overcome yet. It's still something that we're always working on. Now, my little guy, he also loved sleep. It's just that sometimes he would get woken up by his big brother early in the morning, middle of the night, those kinds of things. And because my oldest guy really struggled with behavioral challenges, there was always something going on in our house. Can you imagine if you have a kiddo that's really struggling with sleep, and then the other kiddo is getting awoken? And for many years, the times that they would both get up was around 3:30 in the morning. And so I didn't really take into consideration all of those challenges. I felt like, well, that was just life, being that, as an autism parent, especially when your oldest child is the one that has the autism, there's a lot of things you just assume that is just how it goes. Unfortunately, I really struggled for a long time understanding that my issue had nothing to do, really, it didn't have anything to do with time management and organization. It had to do with what was actually going on in my life and how it was affecting our day-to-day. Systems and routines are something that's always been in place when it comes to my children, but when I started to look at how it could improve my 4 intentional needs, aka my own self-care, that's when things really started to change for me personally. As many people, I didn't really understand what needed to change. I later on realized, after speaking with coaches, that I needed to have certain systems for myself in order to make sure things were actually getting done. Because so many of us autism moms, we have a desire to have change, especially when it comes to our 4 intentional needs. Maybe we want to have consistent sleep, or maybe we want to have more movement in our life on a daily basis, or at least 3 times a week where we're working out. Or maybe we want to make sure that we're having more home-cooked meals or more nutrient-dense meals. But it doesn't actually happen in our life unless we actually take time to plan for it. The problem when it comes to an autism mom is that so much of the planning surrounds our children and their urgent needs. They have to be looked at when it comes to meltdowns so they don't hurt themselves or anyone else. We need to be so hyper vigilant so that we can actually even avoid meltdowns before they actually become an issue. There's so many things that we do on a daily basis, from the time that they wake up to the time that they go to bed, that we don't even realize because we have just started to be in this survival mode. So many of us, obviously, not everybody, but so many of us, this is an area that we had to really work on, because if we're in survival mode all the time, it can create a lifestyle of burnout. And for an autism mom, because you are a caregiver, it's really difficult to get out of burnout, because what puts you in burnout, you're not often able to change. So there has to be something going on with you, your own personal self-management and self-governance, that is going to actually change your lifestyle. Now, when a neurotypical family, let's say there's a mom who wants to get out of burnout, often it has everything to do with her choices. It has to do with, is she self-governing or stewarding her time wisely? Is she taking care of herself? Versus an autism mom, it's that plus. So yes, we need to be a good steward of our time and our relationships and everything to do with that. But also we have to self-govern ourselves, but not just ourselves. We have to be aware of everything that's going on with everybody else all the time. So often autism moms are the ones that carry the mental load, and that's why it becomes so difficult. So now that I've shared everything, let's go into some actual tips that can help. So let's look at tip number 1. Tip number 1, if you are thinking to yourself, I need to be better with time management, I'm needing to be better with organization, I don't understand why it's so difficult to plan, probably you don't have strategic routines and systems in your life when it comes to your own personal self-care. We all do for our kids, so that they go to their therapies, they go to their doctor visits, they have everything they need most of the time for most of us, right? But it's us that often gets left on the back burner. So number 1, we have to actually be on the list, and then also we actually have to have time to plan. Okay, so let's look at that step number 1. Time to plan for our intentional needs. That is something that is important, but it's not urgent. That's important to understand, because if you're always answering the call of something urgent, you really don't have time to do anything that's important unless it's also urgent. So, and many of us, unfortunately, don't actually change things unless we are forced to by health scares or not having the resources that we need, or a variety of different things happening that are often really bad that will make us actually make different choices. So before we get into all of that, we don't want to have to only change our lives when it comes to self-care unless something really awful happens. Let's see what we can do. How can we plan our life so that it has self-care in it? So that's really step number 1. Step number 2, after we realize that yes, we need to be planning for the important, not just the urgent, especially when it comes to our self-care, step number 2 is we need to have realistic goals. So often people will have this long list of things that they want to accomplish, all the things that they did before they had kids, all the things that they would love to be able to do, but we need to have realistic goals so that it's not a someday situation. Someday I will work out a couple times a day, or week rather. Someday I will plan nourishing meals. No, what we want to do is have a realistic goal and then pick one of those 4 intentional needs and plan for it in our actual planner or calendar. Now we need to get really, really tactical. So step or tip number 3 and 4 needs to be really tactical. So let's say, okay, I understand we need to plan. Okay, I understand not only do I need to plan, I understand that it needs to be really realistic for the season of life that I am in now. Now what do I do? Well, step 3, we have already chosen which one we want to work at. So let's say we want to work at creating nourishing meals on a daily basis. So once a week on our Sunday setup, we want to come up with 3 to 5 dinners that our family loves and that we love. Or if you know what you're going to plan for your family and you're just looking at yourself because you're wanting to make sure you are hitting certain goals when it comes to maybe you're gluten-free, or maybe you are wanting to cut back on red meat, or maybe you realize that dairy isn't serving you. If you have really specifics, then maybe this is something just for you, not necessarily for your whole family. So step 3 needs to be, let's come up with like 3 to 5 dinners that can also serve as lunches. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say you like lamb and you want to have like lamb burgers and stir-fry mixed vegetables and maybe, let's see, brown rice. Okay, so that's one meal. Another one can be like a protein-rich pasta, maybe like banza pasta. Okay, and then so that's one, and then you're gonna have some broccoli on the side. And then maybe for the third one, you are wanting to have like a meat-free option. So you're going to have like a big healthy stew. So you have 3 options. Those can serve as a lunch, And you can even use leftovers for a breakfast if that was something you wanted to do. Okay? You can also use some of those options to make like a breakfast too. So let's say you made yourself some lamb burgers. They were really great. You had some leftover lamb burger meat. You can use that, and maybe you can use it for breakfast as well. Maybe you're going to take it and put it in a stir fry with some veggies and maybe some egg whites. Of course, this has to do with your personal choices and options. I'm a raw vegan, so for me, I know what I'm going to have. I'm going to have a green smoothie. I already prepped out what my greens will be. I already prepped out what my fruit will be and how I'm going to put all that together. So you would decide what works really great in your meal plans. And that's a first step that is very realistic. You're choosing 3 to 5 dinners that can also substitute for lunches. The great thing about that is if you stay at home, you can kind of whip up and warm those things up the next day. Or if you are a mama that works outside of the home, you can even bring those as a lunch, and that can help to save money also. Okay, so that is one tactical. Looking at nutrition. Let's look at if you're wanting to focus on movement. So if you're wanting to focus on movement, we have to plan for that too. Let's say, okay, ideally everybody would like to say, okay, every day I'm going to work out and it's going to just be wonderful. That's really great, but what if you just started out with 2 to 3 times a week? Because even if something happens, let's say your kids get sick at school and you have to pick them up, and so now you're not able to go, then you don't have to feel bad about thinking, man, I wasn't able to go and so I kind of blew the week. No, remember, you are making things really tactical that can work in the season that you are living in. So if for step number 4 you're wanting to look at how you can add movement, just do 2 to 3 times a week. Now I'm going to even take that a step further, and not just 2 to 3 times a week, but just look at really simple routines. I love Pilates. I can do that on my laptop, and they have even 10-minute sessions. So, and she has several that are recorded, and so I can just do that anytime I want to that'll work. And if I just choose 2 or 3 days that are like 10-minute sessions, 10 to 15 minutes, then it is going to be easier for me to actually put that into play for myself. Okay, so I hope that these options were really, really great. Basically, you kind of want to think about your own plan. What are some things that are working in your life and what are not? How can those 4 intentional needs impact you? Understand that they are important, usually not urgent, and so that's why they kind of get left on the back burner. To make it really, tactical for you, you want to pick one to work on and make it really realistic and easy steps. Make it easy for it to be a yes versus easy for it to be a no. Understand that this is something that does take practice. It's not a 1 week, 2 week thing. Sometimes it's not even a 1 month, 2 month. It's something that may take several months to actually create a routine in your life. But what we're often needing are routines and systems that actually fit in our life, and understand that we need to have grace with ourselves and love ourselves, and understand that we are juggling a lot. We have so many things that we have to be on for 24/7. And when we are trying to set up systems in our life that are really all about us to help us with our long-term health, physical, mental, and emotional, it takes time because we've been living in a different way for such a long time. So you must, and I always say this, you have to give yourself grace. You have to love yourself and understand it takes time. Don't give up. Continue to press in and understand you're doing a great job. You are doing so wonderful, and you get better every day. Okay, so I hope that this has been encouraging, and I look forward to talking to you guys next time. As always, as I say, take good care. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening in today. I hope that it was an encouragement to you, that you learned something that you can apply to your life, and you had fun. So thank you so much. Until next time, have an awesome day. Oh, awesome. One more thing. Do not forget to like and share this episode, because if you know other autism mamas out there that is looking for a podcast that can encourage them, that they can learn something from, they can apply to their lives, especially when it comes to self-care, please share this with them and let me know if you are wanting to know about some health bundles, because I have some things that could possibly help you out. Thanks. Bye. Till next time.